We'll talk about gallium arsenide laser or semiconductor laser here. And a semiconductor laser is a specially fabricated PN junction device. And we know what is PN junction device, right? So it is a PN junction device. That is why the name is semiconductor laser, and it emits light when it is in forward biasing. So we can consider it as gallium arsenide laser diode. And as we know that diode never conducts in reverse biasing. So we'll only talk about forward biasing. Now this is the construction of semiconductor laser. And here we can see that this is P region, this is N region, and this is the junction. And another, we can call it as active region as well, because all the activity will happen inside junction only. Now this wall and this wall, they are polished and they'll act as reflected mirrors. The front one, and which is at the back side, they are rough surfaces, they cannot reflect, right? And the upper one and this one, bottom one, these are for metal contact, and we can connect them with electrodes. For forward biasing, we need to connect p type with positive side of the electrode and n type with negative side of the electrode to get the forward biasing. Now one more thing is, this PN junction is heavily doped. P-type semiconductor and N-type semiconductor, they are heavily doped, and the width of PN junction varies from 1 micrometer to 100 micrometer. So how it varies? It depends on some conditions like diffusion and temperature conditions at the time of fabrication. Now we'll talk about working part. For working part, this is the diagram, and this shows energy level diagram of PN junction diode laser. And we can see there are two parts. First one is for thermal equilibrium condition when we are not providing any biasing, and second one is when the diode is in forward biasing. Now, in first case, we can see that Fermi level, for this is for N type and this is for P type. So Fermi level for N type, as per the law, it lies here, and for P type it is here, right, at the bottom of the valence band. Now as soon as we'll provide forward biasing to the diode, Fermi level will go up for N type semiconductor and it will come down for P type. So here and here. Now what will happen, due to flow of current, charge particles means electrons and holes, they'll start moving. And here in this area there was nothing when we have not provided forward biasing to the diode, but here we can see there are so many electrons and so many holes, so they'll get separated and they'll start moving. And this is the active area, we'll talk about this area only. Now what will happen, because of so much concentration of electrons and holes, they will start recombining, right? So due to recombination, as we know that what happens when one electron and one hole recombine, they release energy, right? So we'll get energy at the output. So here we can see energy at the output, and this recombination will be considered as, this energy will get, we'll say that the type of emission, the energy due to these recombinations this laser diode will emit, this kind of emission will be considered as spontaneous emission, right? Now when we'll increase the forward biasing, so when we'll increase the amount of current, what will happen, concentration of electrons and holes will increase here, and we'll get more amount of energy at the output, and due to that population inversion will occur in the active region. So this is the active region, and here population inversion will occur, and we know that what population inversion is when the number of atoms in excited state are more than the number of atoms in ground state. Now this narrow region is known as active region, and here population inversion will occur. And what will happen is when photons, because whatever energy electrons and holes are releasing due to their recombination, they'll release that energy in terms of photon. So they'll act as LED, light emitting diode. So here we'll get photons, right? And the photons they are releasing due to spontaneous emission, those photons will trigger the process of stimulated emission. So stimulated emission will start due to those photons. So now due to electron hole recombination, we'll get stimulated emission afterwards, and this stimulated emission as triggered by the photons, those are emitted by the recombination. Due to that stimulated emission, when electrons and holes are recombining, they will start releasing coherent radiation of very narrow bandwidth, right? So coherent radiation of very narrow bandwidth, this coherent radiation of very narrow bandwidth is nothing but laser light, because we know that in case of stimulated emission we need one incident photon. That incident photon will get through spontaneous emission, and that photon will trigger stimulated emission. So at the output we'll start getting, for each recombination we'll start getting two photons, and these two photons will be coherent, they'll be in same phase. So we'll start getting coherent radiation at the output, and the bandwidth of this coherent radiation will be very narrow. So there's a particular range, but approximately the wavelength of this coherent radiation will be 9000 angstrom. So this was all about the working of semiconductor laser. Yeah, and this is a formula with the help of which we can find out the wavelength. Now, what are the advantages of semiconductor laser? They are small in size, they are very compact, they are very efficient, and they are highly stable. These are the advantages of semiconductor laser.